Hello and welcome back to On the Soul's Terms podcast. I'm your host, Chris Skidmore, and I'm joined today um, by someone that I discovered through my partner who had received the books from this man and was really inspired by his words and I would say maybe lit up by the prose and some of the transmissions going on inside this book, particularly some of his work that references Apollo and times in the temples around here in Greece. And so I was drawn to reach out to this man whose name is Spyros Siamos. Welcome, Spyros, to the show.
Hello, Chris. It's my pleasure, and thank you for inviting me.
Yes, you're most welcome. Yeah, I was drawn to reach out to you. Um, Really, I wanted to, because I've been, working with the Greek myths and tracing and tracking and dreaming with the myths for a long time now. Um, One of the things about your work that I could infer, because your books are in Greek, of course, but what I could infer from what you were writing about was a real, rather than like, here's the gods and here's the stories, it felt like here's a direct experience of an almost like conversation with, I might say, the actual sort of essence or something closer to the essential layer of these figures, especially Apollo, who we're talking about in Leo season, talking about the sun, particularly Apollo, where you had a particular way of being with the deity that I thought was very unique. And so I wanted to bring you on to the podcast, and I'm just going to say to the audience, like, Spiros hasn't done these things before. He hasn't been on on a podcast before, which I actually think is a great benefit to us as the audience to hear from you today, Spiros. But just remember, one, Spiros hasn't been on podcast. Two, this is his second language that he's going to try to explain very difficult topics and concepts within. Um, but with all of that said, Spiros, I just wanted to welcome you and to ask you, I guess, first of all, if you might be able to introduce yourself to the audience and some of who you are and where you're, what some a little bit of the your own life path, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I'm Greek. I was born in northwest part of Greece. Um, since I was a child, I was very impressed of Greek myths. I was very attracted by mythology, and I was really in love with these figures, these qualities, these beings. So for me, always a part of me was connected directly with this tradition, this Greek mythology part.
Mm.
So um, I live in the south part, southwest of Greece, near the coast
Mm.
of Messinia. This is the name of the region. It's a very small village um, called Agios Andreas,
Mm.
40 minutes from a big city called Kalamata. I recently built a center here for meditation, for retreats and healing work. I'm
Mm.
an energy healer,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trained as a shaman for over 10 years, but
Mm.
I left permanently this path, and now I'm in inner healing.
Mm. Wow. So 10 years. Yeah, there's a few pieces I'd love to pick up on. Actually, maybe what I'm going to do first is go back. And you mentioned in childhood, and by the sounds of it, being drawn or even enamored by these figures, these gods. And I wonder if you can cast your mind back to as a child, and how you were introduced to them and how that came to be. Um, and especially that as a child, what your mind, if you can remember, of course, but maybe just the sense of how that impacted you back then, hearing the tales or.
Thankfully, um, the education system of Greece introduced mythology as a part of history,
Really?
and for me, it was right. It was really like a history.
Mm.
So, so for me, these beings, these situations, these incidents weren't just myths. So for me, for a few years, they were just reality,
Yeah, okay.
absolute reality.
Yeah. And how old were you when you is so this is school, primary school or
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so they introduced it as part of history, which is actually fascinating. I once had the storyteller, mythologist Michael Mead on the show, and he talked about his aunt going to buy him a history book, but then giving him Greek mythology by Edith Hamilton, sort of by mistake. And he grabbed it. He's like, "No, I want this book," because actually, in his mind, it was that is like history and myth. Myth is maybe the more imaginative version of history, or maybe the truer history in some ways. Um, so you could sort of sense that even from a young age.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And for me, it was always like a history. And as I was growing up, this didn't change.
Yeah. Okay. And right up until, did they continue to teach it in that way as you went through school, or did things change as you moved through to the upper levels of school? Did they continue to keep mythology in the school system?
No,
No.
no, no, no. It was just a very small part uh, in very early
Right.
classes, early.
Yeah.
And I was very lucky that my father was a teacher in a primary school, and he he played this part to enforce this feeling of mine that it's something that has to be history for us, and it's really history and not myths.
Oh,
So he played a big part in that.
oh, beautiful. So he's able to reinforce that. And what was he a teacher of at the school?
Uh, just a primary
Oh,
school
right.
teacher.
So everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, everything.
Okay. So as you were picking it up, you got, yeah, that reinforcement to sort of stay with it in a way. And and you carried that with you as you went through all these experiences, then growing up, going into adulthood. Did the myths stay with you, or did they sort of retreat back? You talk now about 10 years in shamanism. Um, did those stories come with you into the shamanic path?
In the beginning, no, because I left it behind since maybe my lately teenagehood,
Hmm.
because I started reading philosophy.
Hmm.
I thought that it was more appropriate to my maturing mind, so I left it behind. And right when I started my shamanic journey, without any purpose, without planning, my first astral journeys was about mythology.
Really? Right. So are you saying that the sort of once you started to go into the astral realm, those figures were there? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Immediately, just
Mm.
it was like they were welcoming me in
Really?
the
Yeah.
in the astral world.
Wow. And
Yeah, one by one.
one by one, right? So what was that like? Walk me through that experience. Because I mean, at that point, it was probably something buried in your younger years, something in your childhood, something that was a bit more like fables or fun tales or something like that. And then to actually witness them. I'm curious about that. What was that experience?
I think it was very essential in this procedure the fact that I was visiting um, as many museums as possible.
Mm.
So almost in every place, in every Greek city, there was a museum. I was I was visiting that.
Right.
So
Okay.
all these all these images, all these statues, all this atmosphere of the ancient Greek art was like being they were absorbed from my system without being aware of that.
Yeah.
So they were waiting for the moment
I can
to
really
come
relate
up.
to that actually because I last week I was in Athens for a few days. I just decided to spend a few days there. I went to the National Archaeological Museum, but I went twice in a week. One time I went just to sort of like do the, move through it in the sense of moving through time, Mycenaean, but then backwards to the Neolithic and then up through classical and everything. But on the second time I went without any, like, not going through time, no chronology to it at all. And um and the just the way that the statue started to speak to me was so different, especially that section that I didn't even see in the first time. I mean, I've been before, but this section where there was Pan on the one side and then Aphrodite on the other side of this big hall, and I just stayed in that room for so long, being with the these images, like really being with them rather than what else do we do? Maybe we be with like the history, as you say. We get kind of a bit drawn into the historical, this age, that age, the information, and all of the different materials, I guess, rather than really let ourselves be in communion with the with what's being referenced by these. I think that's what you're saying. What it's actually talking about.
Yeah, and I think I did the same when I went to
Mm.
study in Athens.
Mm.
I think I visited this museum twice in a week.
Mm.
I think I did almost the same.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, because this period, this classical period, is, I think, in my opinion, is the peak of the effort of the Greek artists
Mm.
to represent in the most uh, in the best way these qualities, these images, these
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's so vivid and so articulate, and there's a lot of movement in the statues. And there were two statues of Pan. You probably know these two, where he's got a pelt on, and he's holding his instrument, his pipes, and he's got this pelt, and he's a wise elder Pan. And I'd never seen Pan depicted that way before as this wise elder. I was very moved by that one. Yeah, are there similar that you have from? Are there similar images or?
the one that had a very big impact on me, and it still has, because I recall many times. I recall this. It's
Mm,
the one not in Athens, but in Olympia. I don't
mm,
know if you have been in the museums, in the
yeah, I
Museum
have.
of Olympia. There, the Apollo statue. It's for me. It's maybe the in the west pediment of Olympia.
Mm.
Uh, Maybe it's the one of. Maybe it's my favorite. I think
Wow. Can you
I
describe it
was.
for me? Because I was in Olympia about a month ago, and I really stopped in the room with the metopes and the in that big room, and I just sat there. Of course, it's so many tourists come in, so it's like big waves
Yeah,
would come in and then leave, and then I'd be alone again, and then wave would come in and then leave. But
yeah, of
but
course.
I remember being very moved. But I'm not sure I remember this Apollo statue. So can you describe it for us?
It's a part of the west pediment of the temple of Zeus, and there is in this shape of a triangle, this scene that
Oh
it's
yeah.
going on there,
Mm.
and there is a battle
Yeah.
between the centaurs and the Lapids. So Apollo just stands in the middle, um, just showing with his hand like that,
Oh,
and maybe indicating who is going to be the winner of this battle.
okay. Yeah, this is the room that I was in as well. So this is a very special room to
Yeah.
me too. And I also went twice to this one, but this was the start of the day and the end of the day. And when the tourists are clean up at the end of the day, which is interesting with the sun, right? Sunrise, sunset.
Mhm.
And then, and yeah, that Apollo is very powerful. And maybe that can take us into the purpose of the podcast today, given that we're in Leo season. I'm in this series on the planets. We moved through the moon and now we're in the sun. And I would like to feel into, your relationship to Apollo, and what maybe beginning with that image of what it is about that stance that he was in that speaks to his character. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for from the beginning. It shows an aspect that is very very clear of Apollo. It's like it's the victory of consciousness of
Mm.
civilization
Mm.
over the wild instinct.
Mm.
So Apollo there indicates who is going to be the winner,
Mm.
um, not necessarily as a consequence of conflict, but rather of evolution.
Mm. Right.
So he's not, yes, just because he's standing just in the middle, not close to anyone. So even if he indicates the winner, he's not particularly close to any side. So it's
Right.
yeah, it's civilization taking
Yeah.
over, but without duality, without being part of the conflict.
That's so interesting because yeah, it's interesting listening to you speak there because in your what I have read of the book, one of the books, which is just in the background here, um, which we can talk about in a minute, but is is you do have this chapter right at the beginning where it seems to be that flow of consciousness around Apollo. But what I love about it is you speak of Apollo, like you say, like there's a triumph here, but there's also you speak of the wild and the wild mind, and so like you say, it's not sort of it's a really nice distinction, and I think we could make together for the audience that what you're not talking about, because I know from your work, is not talking about like a victory over the instinct, but more a is it would you say maybe a harmonizing or a like a not getting drawn into the feral side of the wild or something like this? I mean, yeah, could you articulate for me what I know in your work is like a real appreciation for wildness and for the wild mind, but also that Apollo seems to be able to sort of like stand in the middle, be open, as you said. Yeah, I wonder if I can just hand this to you as an open question for you.
Yeah, it's maybe like he's waiting when somebody crosses the gate. When somebody passes through the gate, it's like Apollo is already waiting there. It's the part of Apollo that rests inside every human being, waits until there is a very deep need in order to go beyond the known.
Hmm.
So Apollo is standing at the gate, ready to happily guide to this level of consciousness, to this world of direct knowledge without this everyday mind, this analytic
Hmm.
state of that most of us are used of.
Hmm.
So he's
Right.
standing in this threshold, of intuition.
So he can take us out of like that kind of like, I guess, ignorance or yeah, that level of, because of course in the scene with the Lapiths is sort of like the drunken centaurs is trying to steal the bride kind of thing. It's like it's not the side of centauric consciousness that we might see in like a Chiron or a Phallus and these characters that have integrated inside of themselves the instinct and are not at odds with the instinct. We have more that these are guests at the wedding, these lapis, these centaurs, and have gone into the chaotic. You know, you see it everywhere in Greece, don't you? Depictions of the Lapiths versus the centaurs and the sort of chaotic pulling and tugging and grabbing, and you know, this kind of a consciousness, like mass confusion in a sense. And so, at the threshold of that, you're saying Apollo is waiting calmly, maybe silently, in the midst of it all. To
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly. It's just as you said. It's he's ready to help somebody to bring order into
mm,
chaos
mm,
without any without using any kind of suppression and totally outside of conflict.
mm,
So it's totally different from this like a very common in maybe in the beginning of many spiritual paths
mm,
and many aspirants experience this effort to to force
mm-hmm.
order into the chaos, and this can bring only more chaos.
Yeah, right. So in a way, this battle that goes on, yeah, right, is a sort of a forcing, just like in the myth, of course, there's a forcing going on. Again, there's like a snatching and a grabbing and a forcing, and then there's the ability of one character, Apollo, to stand in the midst of it all. And is this when you were in those experiences of first opening to the astral world and first opening to these other dimensions? Is this how Apollo showed up inside of your own visions, inside of your own wanderings?
Yeah, it was first of all, of course, firstly, I was visited by some other gods of Greek mythology, like
Mm.
Athena, Aphrodite,
Hmm.
Dionysus, um, and then came Apollo a bit later, after a few, maybe few years. In the beginning, it was mostly Athena and
Mm.
Aphrodite.
Mm.
And for me, so it was a way to explore those qualities from the beginning,
Hmm.
because they were coming up from a place where um, something fresh was there. It wasn't from something already known.
Mm.
And Apollo came up in my vision first time while I was doing a therapy to to a young guy that had an accident with a bike, and he was in a coma
Wow.
in this state. And it was the first time that I met Apollo there.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and of course you know that Apollo was a healer.
Mm.
So in the beginning I thought that okay, now maybe I'm just getting in touch with the archetype of a healer, because among his qualities, healing is one of the most known and maybe important
Mm.
for later years.
Mm. But then it was. Yeah, how did he? I'm super curious now to hear because, of course, a coma. I'm thinking about all the stories that I've been sort of in, and also my own experiences of the different temples that I've been to that are around Apollo. That I hadn't realized it until even yesterday when I was thinking about it. But one on at the island of Kia, where there's that cave that's in the on Apollo's temple. There's a little cave that I sat inside of, and then at Versailles, there's also the temple there to with the tent and sitting there, and Delphi, another one. And I haven't actually been to Delos yet. That's a few weeks away from me. But these places, what's in common with them is a real stillness that I kept feeling or experiencing inside of these temples that have sort of Apollo's signature on them. Um, but also the journey, in a sense, out of the dark into the light, I suppose. And so I'm thinking about a coma, and it's a young man with a motorcycle accident, which is a little bit classic, isn't it? That's a quite a common experience of young men, not to the extent of a coma, but to sort of put themselves in dangerous situations. So I'm just curious about how, if you can talk about it, how Apollo showed up into that scenario.
Yeah, yeah, I think I was overwhelmed because when I went deeper and I was able to see what's happening, I came up with I met the imprisoned soul of that young guy,
Mm.
and then Apollo came up, and I thought that that time I thought it was because um, I had to detach myself, and also there is another characteristic that I experienced through my uh, contact with Apollo. This detachment that it's also obvious in this statue in
Mm.
Olympia.
Right.
So I had to learn how to detach myself because I was very emotional when I
Mm.
came up with this imprisoned soul
Mm.
and this body.
Of course. And so he sort of, I guess what I'm hearing is that he helped you to stay connected without being um, overwhelmed or blown out, I suppose, by the experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something of Apollo in his consciousness? Because I'm thinking about burnout as such a common experience in the modern world, especially. And do you think there's something in Apollonian consciousness that helps us with that particular experience?
Um, I think it's, I would say, something quite optimistic. It's like the birth of Apollo. It's himself
Mm.
from his mother. It's like it's inevitable.
Mm.
Apollo's appearance and manifestation. It's inevitable.
Mm. Okay.
So it sounds optimistic, but
Yeah, that
from
does sound
my
optimistic. Yeah.
from my side, it's quite true.
So in a way, then you're saying like when we do see the battle of the Lapiths versus the Centaurs and the sort of when things get really, really terrible, there's an inevitability of the birth of
Yeah,
Apollo.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There is no meaning, deeper meaning of punishment in situations like burnout or a dark. It's like the
Mm.
dark nights.
Mm.
It's uh, it's um, it's maybe experiencing this emptiness, this empty space just before something very important is going to be born from that.
Mm. Yeah, I'm thinking about the sort of I know I can touch into this energy quite a lot, and in my own world, and I know that I'm not alone in it. Like the feeling of not a good positive emptiness, but the sort of emptiness that feels like nothing, as in nothing has any meaning, or nothing is, nothing is worthwhile, or I can't, get anywhere, or something like that. Like I guess we would call it like the nihilistic experience where everything is essentially feels meaningless. And what I hear you referring to there is that I like that you put it in the realm of inevitability, because of course we can't do much from that space apart from know, perhaps that from the myths that it is from that, like in Apollo's birth, which is a very long and arduous process, right? That
Yeah,
eventually he does get born. I think you also mentioned that Delos has a meaning that you gave me that I hadn't heard before. This island that Apollo was born on. What was that
yeah,
meaning?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Delos in Greek means manifest.
Hmm.
So it's yeah, so manifest or luminous or
Hmm.
yes, it's quite and also uh, if I would like to connect with this darkness, with this emptiness, and
Hmm.
also his mother's name, Apollo's mother's name in Greek is Lito. It means oblivion. So it's the primordial darkness.
Wow.
So it's a connection. It's a deep connection. Also, there is a big symbolism
Wow.
that justifies the this optimistic
Yeah.
side that I told before. Yes, and it's the state where the soul is submerged in material, um, I say, torpor.
Hmm.
So it's totally lacking awareness.
Hmm.
So this oblivion, this darkness, it's a primordial state. It's
Hmm.
very known to our souls.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I had no idea that Lito's name links us back to oblivion. So then that light, or that order, or that musicality, or that healing is born from that, which I guess gives me a different perspective when I think about like the Asclepian temples and the dream chambers. It's like now I'm thinking in terms of that. When we go back to the dream chamber, it's to return essentially to the that state and get born again, get birthed again as part of healing. And I'm thinking about the most potent healing modalities that I've discovered in my life have been, now that like it's clicking for me, that ultimately it's not to fight that oblivion, it's to sort of enter it, because that's the birth canal in a way. And from there, just like Delos itself, which is under the water, isn't it, submerged in the water and then becomes visible or becomes manifest as the place for birth of Apollo. The most humble, simple, rocky crag essentially then becomes this golden center point.
Yeah,
That to me is the
and
sun, also in astrology. So that to me is
mhm.
like what I'm, as I'm imagining all of that, I'm like, that's the sun. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And in everyday life, many, most of us try to avoid this emptiness.
Mm.
So sometimes it comes with strength,
Mm.
with some kind of power that it's really scary. It's really terrifying. Um, and now that you refer to to the sun, um, and before we were talking about also the moon, there is another also another um, how to say aspect to see the whole birth of Apollo. And when we put in this procedure the fact that his sister Artemis was born first, so Artemis represents the moon and and specifically the twilight. So there the moon is not in a conflict with the sun that is being born later. So the moon there, it's just when the person has emerged from oblivion and starts to explore and with this exploration to purify himself or herself in order to move on to the birth of Apollo. So there, the moon, it's a part of the process,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
something like an opposite.
No.
Yeah.
And especially because Artemis then is the midwife, right? Like she turns around and is able to assist and help the son to be born, which is a really lovely kind of way of feeling into that it isn't. Yeah, these aren't oppositional forces, as you say. They're twins. And Artemis sort of, it makes a lot of sense to me that Artemis would be born first and born already sort of fully grown in a way, isn't she? She's sort of born as the
Yeah.
huntress and as the instinct and as the connector to things through the reflector of the moon.
Yeah, exactly. She's the seeker
Mm.
of the forests of the unknown.
Mm.
She's also virgin, so it's
Mm.
like it's when the soul goes through this purification period, which maybe takes some time
Yeah.
before it goes to realization.
Mm. Yeah, because it's interesting. She's born. Uh, I mean, some versions she's born on the sixth, and he's born on the seventh. I think that's numbers that not rather than being literal. I think she's a six and he's a seven, as far as like he's got the seven strings and she's got the six. Like six is kind of Virgo, and nature and connection to the Virgin, purification, and then the Libran is the seventh, is the seven strings, or the seven planets or the seven elements, and
Or the seven rays.
or the seven rays. Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Tell me about the
Yeah.
seven rays.
Yeah, the summer rays. Somebody can go deeper into that. It's part of Alice Bailey's work,
Mm.
and the cosmic energies as they come down from this center,
Mm-hmm.
they become these seven qualities, seven rays.
Mm.
Even our solar system and the solar logos in Greek, the solar spirit behind the sun is considered to belong in this great second ray, which is love and wisdom.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
there also there is a connection of the cosmic Christ and
Mm.
Apollo as well.
Mm. Love and wisdom, philosophia. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you also, yeah, you connecting to Christ here, and you also had a connection that I was reading this morning from your English translation, which is just this little section of the book about beauty was the first word that you also gave to this energy. So, yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, it's Apollo. Um, if Apollo is a being that lies in the intuitive level, there there are the three great ideas by Plato,
Mm.
and one of them is it's beauty.
Mm.
So the reflection of beauty, we can see it in arts and in very famous pieces of art.
Mm.
We have many manifestations
Mm.
of beauty, and all of them they are going through the astral level, but very few of them they manage to go over it. And this kind of arts that represent this beauty, we can meet in very famous statues or buildings or paintings.
Mm.
Yeah, because intuition reflects on the emotional level, and our brain connects with this, is taking the signals of this. So, yeah, Apollo is standing there.
Mm.
He's sending his rays towards the emotional body, and um, we create art,
Mm.
we see, and
I'm thinking here in the connection to the muses, and Apollo's connection to the muses feels like it comes up here, which is something in the series I haven't really focused on very much around the sun. But of course, Apollo, with the connection to the muses, would be maybe what you're saying, or also of like the 9 different sort of places that that inspiration could come through. And I guess, it's interesting because before recording, we were talking about like something really important, I think, inside of this, which is the danger of direct contact with this energy system in a way. And the muses maybe are that to have some layer between us and the divine, or some other kind of bridges. I wonder if you could speak to that danger, because I think it's less talked about when we think about archetypes. We think about these gods. It's very rare that people are talking about like the danger of getting into direct contact with something that is maybe too powerful for our human consciousness to
yeah,
mediate.
yeah, of course. And for me, this comes through a direct experience,
Mm.
painful experience.
Mm. Mm.
This understanding. Yeah, there is a connection between the intuitive level and the astral level, and in the same way between the intuition body of the human being and the astral body, the emotional body. So many kinds of practices and meditations that they are flying up to high levels. They keep on reflecting big amounts of light
Mm.
into the emotional body, and there is a limit that this body can handle in this energy,
Mm.
because this emotional body connects. Now I'm talking like as a healer. It connects with the solar plexus,
Mm.
and the solar plexus can't take too much of these reflections.
Right. Mm.
And also you can see that in more simple ways. Like we have many examples of great artists, musicians, rock stars, painters, that they were able to create amazing pieces of art, but they couldn't handle the energies in their everyday life, and
Mm.
many of them went crazy.
Mm.
But if somebody thinks, tries to think if this happened to many poets or philosophers, it's quite less. And I think that
Mm.
has to do also with uh, with the approach of the mind, which some of the muses introduce. So there is a bridge
Mm.
between the astral or the emotional level and the intuition, and this is the mind. And many ways, spiritual ways and methods, tried to avoid, tried to pass by this mind level, like shamanism that I experienced.
Mm.
We were working without the mind, and even in shamanism, somebody can reach a point that he can go out of the body and travel into the astral world. The mind is not there, so something is missing. The bridge is missing, and
Mm.
sooner or later, the river is going to take this
Mm.
thing.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the that's why the in modern times in our era we have to introduce mind work
Mm.
into our spiritual practice.
Oh, wow. And are you speaking there in the terms of like psychotherapeutic work or therapeutic work? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, and also in meditative work.
Meditative, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. There are methods of meditation that they are made for the Western mind, for the
Mm.
Western men and women, um, and cultivates in a um, very safe way this bridge between
Mm.
the lower mind, between the emotion, between the and the higher mind,
Mm.
which many ancient methods try to avoid. Another example is um, exercises with breath.
Mm.
They try to switch off the mind, and that's why we have so many cases of people that they burned out or they even um, uh, had some mental problems after this
Wow, because it's
exercises
like
or
pulling
methods.
in too much of that energy without the mediation of
Yeah,
yeah, wow. I'm thinking
yeah,
now
without
in
the
terms
bridge.
of like the planet Mercury, I think, which I'm about to move into in the series, of course, as I move into Virgo and Mercury. Um, being that, but not the mind is the one that we tend to think about when we think about the mind, but maybe as you say, mind is more vehicle, bridge. It's something that can weave together disparate other worlds. And I'm hearing that figure inside of Apollo actually. And as you said in that room, West Peterman of Olympia, and that figure that is sort of bridging, bridging the centauric with the human in a way, maybe the animal and the human worlds, or maybe there's many, maybe divine and or mortal, immortal as well. These bridge figures that can that the mind can strengthen in terms of that through these practices, through the steadiness of that. Yeah, that's really good. That's a really important thing to talk about, I think, because it's something otherwise we become like those characters, Icarus, Phaethon, who touch the sun uh, too early, right? Without the requisite work that it takes.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah, yeah. And,
amazing. Yeah.
yes, and I really tell this from the point of the one that experienced pain. I was like
Mm,
I became Icarus and or
mm,
Phaethon,
mm,
Phaethon, the son of of Helios,
mm.
that burned himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any of that that you would want to share with us
Um
of that experience, or maybe, or even like how you then recovered from that? What was the Is this inside of your world of shamanism, Spiros? Are you speaking about that particular time in your life?
yes,
Mm,
yes. Yeah, there I was experienced this direct contact with
mm,
these higher levels without doing the work in between.
Yeah.
the mind, and I know many cases that um, they had similar results.
Yeah. Wow. Mm.
Yeah. For me, it was totally like cracked solar plexus, and
Mm.
when somebody, it's very interesting because in the beginning it's very temptative. It's sweet. It's
Mm.
beautiful because you start seeing paradises, beings, and it's like the small crack of the solar plexus introduces you to these hidden worlds. And but as you are using this door and you are opening it again and again, this crack, this opening, this gate, this astral gate, which is a very small crack, opens, and sometimes, and after a point, it doesn't. You can't close it. You can't close the
Mm.
door behind.
Wow.
So there starts the pain and the terror. For me, it was also terror
Was
because
it? Yeah.
you can't close the door.
Yeah.
You are in contact with this world all day and 24 hours,
Oh my God. Yeah.
7 days per week. So
Gosh.
it can really drive you crazy.
So how did you I mean, I can relate. I wonder also if the audience can relate in their own way to this experience. I certainly can, and I know what you're referring to. And I'm curious of how you then rebuilt the bridge, how then you rebuilt the gate. You know, how did you create a new gate or door?
I think that the first hand was given to me by Apollo.
Okay,
So
yeah.
because when I started writing,
Mm,
um, driven from a very deep need to write,
yeah.
without any kind of purpose or achievement or nothing. I was just I needed to write. Something started to change that time. So it
Mm,
was like this mind was starting to be put in the middle. This part
mm,
that was missing was starting to manifest in a very uh, like almost like emergency. It was like
mm,
it's like the way the body acts when somebody is wounded. It's like
mm,
the white cells that try
mm,
to fix the area.
mm.
So the first one was the first was that, and the second, I finally I met a healer that was aware of these connections because he has been already there,
Mm.
and and he knew all about. He had this knowledge, and also he had the ability to fix it. And there are not many of those healers around.
Mm.
So I was very lucky, and I was explained um, um, what happened to about what happened to me, and finally, slowly, I managed to close this gate with the help
Mm.
of this healer, and
Wow.
that's why I decided to study this
Hmm.
kind of healing, this inner healing.
Oh, so that sort of led you then from the where you were or the type of shamanism that you were practicing into what you practice now. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the inner
Mm.
healing. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Working with the etheric body and also with some ways of esoteric psychology, the rays, the
Mm.
qualities.
Mm.
Yeah, it's science.
Yeah, and you're just starting to add. I you told me just off air that you're starting to add some esoteric astrology to the mix recently,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
the beginnings of that journey.
yeah. I'm in the very beginning.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It is.
So I guess what I hear inside of the creation of the book in particular was just like Delos of like making manifest, and part of the healing being that you were making manifest, and that was actually part of, because I do hear that sometimes, that the writing and the expression or whatever art that's coming through is a way actually to bridge. I guess that's a way to get connect back to the muses, right? Connect your back experience back to the muses who, I mean, my understanding of muses is like the daimon level of the world where there's gods and then daimons or daimones and then human. And that middle level seems to be the one that we sort of forget about, that there's these go between figures in between worlds. I can kind of consider muses on that level that can connect us back and forth. And as you say, you know, like the artist or the musician or the pop star that pulls down so much energy plus so much audience is so in direct communication with enormous light,
Yeah, yeah.
and
The,
forgets in a way that the ancients did not, because the ancients, when they're writing their beautiful poems and prose and poetry and plays, start with the muses. You know,
yeah,
typically they'll start by saying, Muse, tell me.
yeah. And I was thinking while you were talking about them that I could easily, um, I could easily say that they could be the angels, that they are coming out of the heart of the sun,
Mm,
where lies Apollo's existence, Apollo's archetype.
mm.
It's the heart of the sun.
Wow.
So these angels are, are the muses.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I think they get reinvented at different, no, they're called by different names, right? Um, and yeah, that's the angelic realm. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what it looks like with the work that you do now? Like what?
The work in therapies or in general, because I'm thinking about it because I also consider it as work that lately I created this space and I try to invite people to come and explore this theory, practice, and holidays. So it's all together. It's not only
Mm,
therapies. So for me, it's like a part. One part is the individual therapies,
mm,
where we we work mentally, recognizing specific things that uh, are blocking the soul's ability to manifest itself in the material level.
mm,
Working with specific methods, with very safe methods to the etheric body.
mm.
And the second part is the group work when people can come and enjoy um, um, enjoy the scenery. It's very near to the sea.
Mm.
So it's like I could call it like budget spiritual holidays because I would like people to not to hesitate, not to be difficult for them, to make it easy for them to come,
Mm.
and to offer uh, a part, a very small part, maybe in the morning for theory and practice, and in the evening and in between they can just relax and have fun. And of course, during the year we have a group and we do bigger and more dense, compact retreats with theory, practice, and
Mm.
diving into meditation, into
Mm. Beautiful.
yeah, and also a collaboration that you were aware with two friends from Hungary that
Mm.
we do some men retreats.
Yeah, yeah. I just
Yeah,
yeah, Marisol just just put me in touch with this. So I'm going to be joining you guys in October because that sounds incredible. And given that I'll still be in Greece, and that so also working with men, I hear you working with individuals, also groups, and on multiple different layers and levels. So it's really wonderful to hear about that work that you're doing, and may it go. I'll put a link to it in the show notes where people can have a look as well. Those that are around this area in Europe, in Greece, can come and visit you and experience some of this amazing work. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will be happy to.
wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Spiros. That seems like a really good place to sort of wind down our exploration. Yeah, I feel like we went on a real journey of I guess I was about the word that came to my mind was like an enlightening journey. And it felt like that's a really good word for I think what we were up to today in the terms of the sun, in terms of relationality of the sun, in terms of bridging, in terms of like honoring the instinct, but also being able to come out of confusion and come out of like negative chaotic states, and into sort of a harmonizing consciousness. So it was wonderful to explore all that with you today. Thank you for taking us on the ride that you took us on.
Thank you very much because also for me it was really interesting and very, very. I really enjoyed this journey with you.
Wonderful. I'm glad. Okay, thanks again. And for anyone listening, yeah, I'll leave notes down there. You can click on Spiros's information and get in touch with him. And yeah, great, fantastic. Thanks, Spiros.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for listening to On the Soul's Terms podcast. To support the show, please consider leaving a 5-star review, sharing with friends, or becoming a patron at patreon.com/onthesoulsterms. Until next time.